Hey y'all, my name is Mick. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd rather just watch the speed paint version, I will put a link in the description and an eye in the sky right now. This video is going to be a little different because today is my birthday. Yay! So I wanted to make something a bit special. I'm not really talking about art advice this week, I'm mostly talking about me. But before I do that, I want to talk about the drawing that you're watching me do in the background of this video, which is a self-portrait, so I'm still talking about me. So this is something that I think is good to do on your birthday because it's a good way to quickly look back on a series of pictures and see an evolution both of what you look like and how your art has developed. So this is something that I've been doing, I guess, since 2015, so does that make this the fourth portrait? I think the math on that's right. I recommend that everyone do this. I also start every sketchbook like that because I used to get so anxious about what the first drawing in my sketchbook would be, and now all that anxiety is gone because I know that it's going to be a self-portrait. That's something I recommend, especially if you have the same sketchbook anxiety that I have. So yeah, this is what I look like currently. I don't think I've gotten a haircut since 2014. Wild. My hair is long now. And I drew my glasses, which I don't wear very often because I get really self-conscious about the way that I look when I wear them, but I got them this year and I wear them more than I wore my previous glasses. I also wore them a lot in this past month or two in particular because I've been working from home a lot, so I felt like I should include them in this self-portrait because I've been wearing them more often and they probably represent the biggest change in my appearance in the past year. Just because, like, I've still got the same face. I basically haven't changed at all since I was 8. This is at least a small thing to differentiate it from my 2017 self-portrait, which I drew with my old pair of glasses. Okay, so now on to the point of this video, my artistic journey. I just thought that this was something that y'all might be interested in, and it felt weird for me to give some art advice when I'm drawing a picture of myself. I don't know, but hey, I'm self-obsessed and I don't need a reason to make this video, so let's get into it. This is a lot rougher than my normal videos. So I've been drawing since I was physically able to draw, but so has everyone. I feel like every artist, when they're asked when they started drawing, is like, I've been drawing since I could hold a crayon. And yeah, every toddler draws. You know that's not what the person asking meant. They mean, when did you start taking it seriously? Because little kids are not taking it seriously, and clearly, you are. Like, not everyone who drew as a kid decided to keep drawing for the rest of their life, so that's what they're asking about. Anyway, I started doing art seriously when I was 9. Is that right? I know the summer after 4th grade, so yeah, I would have been 9 turning 10. And this was because my parents sent me to like an art summer camp for a week or so, which I had been to those before, and none of them had made me change my outlook on art. But this one did because I was put in a class with kids that were all a couple of years older than me, and I don't know why. I had no reason to be in that class, but it really opened my eyes because previously when I'd gone to these art camps or even just drawing at school with my friends, I was around kids my age who also weren't taking it seriously and weren't super good. But that year all of the kids were like 11 to 13 and they were so much better than I was, and by that time you're in middle school and most people have dropped off of doing art, so all of the other kids there were taking it seriously. And seeing that really made me want to improve my art because I wanted to be more like them. So that started the period of my life where I was really analyzing those people's art styles and I was trying to emulate that. So that was also the start of my quote-unquote weeb phase, because every single one of those 12-year-olds was a giant fucking weeaboo. I I actually I actually had no idea what anime was when I went there, so some of the girls were trying to explain it to me, but all they could say was like, that it's like Naruto, and that was so unhelpful because I had no idea what made Naruto different from any other cartoon. So, so I had to ask my father on the car ride home, and he knew the answer. Secretly a weeaboo, my father. So for like a year, I was drawing anime type art. I didn't watch anime, I've never had the patience for it, but I was trying to draw like people from that camp. And because I asked my dad about anime right before my birthday, and my parents never know what to get me, which is frustrating for all parties, they got me one of those how to draw manga books, so that's what I did for a year. I didn't really have any purpose, I wasn't drawing anything in particular, I wasn't a fan of any show, so I wasn't doing fan art, and I don't have any OCs, so at this point it's not like I was drawing my own characters. My style changed a lot in this year, but it didn't stick, because I wasn't doing much stuff that wasn't directly from the books. I did improve a lot that year, learned a lot, but those how to draw manga books are notoriously bad, so a lot of what I learned was incorrect and I needed to relearn it later. But it did set me up to continue doing art on top of what I was doing, because this was around the same time that I discovered computer science, which is what I'm going to school for and it's what I want a career in, and I've always loved it and I've always known that that's what I want to do for a living. So I was spending a lot of my time at this point learning HTML and designing a little website that I had. So this was the year that I was learning how to fit art in with the other things that I wanted to do. And then we come to middle school. In middle school, I got a drawing tablet, which really allowed for me to do some very different art, and I did, because I found a sort of reason to draw. So during my weeb phase, I guess you could call it, I didn't really have any purpose because I wasn't drawing anything in particular, but in middle school I both became a fan of stuff and made my own OCs. So I had things that I wanted to draw, and a lot of that was Monster High. I was such a huge Monster High fan, and I had a shit ton of Monster High OCs. Hell yeah. And I drew them a lot and had huge, unrealistic goals for what I wanted to do with them, but I loved them and I loved drawing them, and it made me improve so much. Because even though the anatomy and whatnot of Monster High is nowhere near perfect, it was better than what was taught in those how to draw manga books, and it made me passionate about my art in a way that I had just never been up to that point. So I definitely owe a lot of my art development to Monster High. Unfortunately, within the first couple of months, I had my first ever bad fandom experience, and it made me stop drawing everything Monster High related, but luckily, by that point, I'd already gotten into other things, so I was able to move on to drawing something else right away. My art changed a lot in those years. I don't know if it really improved much, but it definitely changed. And I sort of continued like that through the beginning of high school until we reached 2015. 2015 was a wild year for me art-wise, because up to that point, all I had done was like cartoony, simplified stuff, and I wasn't improving at all because I don't understand cartoony styles. I don't know what they're supposed to look like, but in 2015 I decided to try and go for a more realistic style because I wasn't getting any better at what I was doing before. And 2015 was probably the fastest that I've ever improved at art, because this sounds bad to say, and I think that it's a lot more complicated than what I'm about to make it out to be, but realism has always come really naturally to me. And obviously, art is a skill, not a talent. I didn't start drawing perfect anatomy and shit as soon as I started, but I improved really quickly. Because when you're drawing from life, you can look at what you've made and compare it to what you were drawing and go, oh, well, a face has different proportions, or, this flower petals were supposed to be shaped differently, and then you can fix it. And that's something that I was never able to do with simpler styles. So I don't know how to fix the mistakes I was making. And I'm still improving. I still have things that I look at with my art and I know I could work on and I know I want to work on. This definitely isn't the end of my art story. It's just out in the open now. Like, in the past, and especially in 2015, I was a lot more selective about what I put online because I wasn't proud of it. But now I put basically everything I draw online almost as soon as it's done. That's probably been the biggest shift in my art since 2015, just the fact that I make more fully rendered pieces and I put almost every single fully rendered piece out in the open. So yeah, I just thought that might be interesting for some people to hear. I wish that I could have included pictures, but I have a bad destructive streak and have gotten rid of most of the art that I've made in my life. I don't have anything before 2015, basically, and even then I only have a handful of the pieces I made. I just don't have enough of it to really showcase what I've done and how I've evolved, so y'all just get a speed paint for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you gained something from this. I'm not sure what there is to gain, what piece of knowledge you can glean from this, but hey, maybe it helped someone. I don't know. I'll talk to y'all next week. Bye!